I got no roots in the ground to hold me down. I got no roots in the ground. I know. Stick to my day job. But hey, this is Initial Thoughts. I'm Joshua Thomas here on the Failroad Express, and we are talking about the board game Root. Root has been a phenomenon in the board gaming society. It has jumped to number one on the hotness list in Board Game Geek, which has dethroned Gloomhaven, which has been there for forever. Currently, it is 249 overall on Board Game Geek, and I think that is fair, and I'll tell you why just in a second. So the first thing you should know about Root is I've played it once. I've seen many other people playing it. I've watched a couple playthroughs, just little small sections of playthroughs at the Mega Moose Con and at my local game store. And when I played it, I can safely say that number one, I enjoyed my experience. Number two, I thought, wow, that ended before I was ready for it to end. And number three, that the asymmetry seems to be somewhat well balanced. Now, on my single playthrough of the game, I played as the Earl de Cat, or whatever the cat faction is. They're basically the rulers of the forest. They control the entire forest, and their main enemy is the Birds faction, the Ire or something like that. And the Birds have been, squeezed into this one little section opposite of the Cat's castle, and their objective is to become a great nation once again by taking over the land from the Cats. Stuck in the middle of this rivalry is the Woodland Alliance. Now, when I played the game, no one used the Woodland Alliance because the guy who owned the game and actually brought it right back from the con that he bought it from before it was even available in board game stores and allowed me to play it. Krieger, thanks for a lot, man. He wanted to play as the Vagabond because he really wanted to check out that character. And it's a very different character, which adds to that asymmetrical theme. But the Woodland Alliance is just this band of rebels who are attempting to gain sympathy throughout the forest, and they can fight as well. And then the Vagabond is just this single solitary character. Now, this character can't die like all the other pawns in all the other armies. It simply can be injured and have to lose items or take damaged items, I believe. But its job is to run around, maybe form alliances, trade with the other armies, and try to gather as many items or build items as it can, because the more items it has, the more actions it can take. The Cats faction, they want to build buildings in all of their different owned territories, and by building those buildings and by defeating and destroying other buildings and armies, they gain their victory points. Victory points are important too. That's how you win the game. You get 30 victory points, you win. 30's not a whole heck of a lot when you consider that other Euro games go up to 100 and oftentimes go above 100 when you're doing the final scoring. Since I didn't play as the Woodland Alliance, I really only have a brief understanding of how they work. They want to gain sympathy throughout the different regions of the map, and the more sympathy they gain, the more victory points they earn. They can also have officers who help give them more actions, if I'm not mistaken, and they want to spread and fight off the Cats and the Birds as well. And then finally, the Bird faction, the Eerie or the Irie, they might just be the most complicated faction because they're all about machine building. The leader, which is determined by a card of the Birds, has certain goals that he wants to achieve, and by achieving those, you take cards out of your hand, placing them under your faction board, And this allows you each round to do a certain number of recruit, move, battle, and other actions. And if you're unable to accomplish every single one of those that you have created for yourself by placing those cards on your faction board, then you go into turmoil. I believe that's the term for it. And a new leader has to be chosen for the birds. Some bad things happen in turmoil, but sometimes it can be good for the birds because they get to start their engine over again. So I was a little apprehensive to play as the bird faction because I was not familiar with the game. A regular at our board game store was kind enough to play as the bird faction because he had already played as them once before, and he helped us learn the game as well. The game gets a little bit deeper than this as you're using cards to help you perform actions, make extra actions, do certain things in combat, which combat is extremely simple. You simply roll 2 dice. One of those dice is how many enemies you get to destroy, and the other dice is how many of you they get to destroy. And let's say if you roll a 3 but you've only got 2 armies in one area, well, you can only do a maximum of 2 damage to them, and it's simply 1 for 1. Each number takes a pawn of that army off the board. So what do I think about Roots? Well, it's difficult because I only have the experience of the cats. I can safely say that I did enjoy playing as the cats, but I can't say that I would enjoy every iteration of Roots with every combo with 2, 3, or 4 players. From what I've heard, it's very enjoyable no matter what, but it is possible to get a bad combination of different factions, and the game tells you what it recommends as far as combinations. Also, it already has its first expansion out, which it got through its Kickstarter, which adds 2 more factions to the game and allows you to play with 5 and I believe possibly 6, if I'm not mistaken, players. So it adds these lizard folk, which are basically like pacifist monks, if I'm not mistaken, and they want to go around and build murals or flower gardens or something like that. And then the river folk, which if you look on the game board, there's a river already there, and they get special movements, if I'm not mistaken, through river sections, and they want to trade with everybody. And I haven't gotten to play with them either. They add so much more dynamics to the game that is already asymmetrical. I hear the asymmetry is very well done as long as you play with the recommended factions. So until I get more playtime with this, I can't give a definitive answer on whether I love or hate or just kind of meh the game. But for right now, I do want to play it more, and I want to try out more of the factions. So those are my initial thoughts on Root. Thanks for watching. Hope you'll like and subscribe. Click that bell button. Check us out on Twitter and Facebook. We always give updates on Twitter and Facebook that you may not see on our videos. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you'll check out more of our videos.